Martin Luther, who lived 500 years ago in Germany, was a monk, a priest, and a professor of theology who led protests against some of the wrong ideas and corrupt practices of the church leaders at that time. These protesters became known as Protestants and began the Protestant Reformation, which has shaped Christianity around the world to this day. In Martin Luther's time, the church leaders were teaching that in order to be forgiven by God, people should try harder or pay money to the church. These church leaders were acting more like rich, powerful kings than humble Christian priests. When Luther challenged them publicly by nailing his thoughts to the door of the church where he lived, it didn't go down well, to say the least. Many were so angry with Luther's continued protests that they wanted him dead. He changed what he wore so he wouldn't be easily recognised when he went out. Luther spent a lot of time at home reading and studying the Bible to rediscover the true teaching and life of Jesus. He translated the Bible into German so that everyone could read it for themselves rather than have to trust everything the church leaders were telling them. Many people then believed the distorted message that in order to be forgiven by God, you had to try harder to be better or pay money to the church. Many people even today still believe that God is keeping score of our good and bad deeds in order to send good people to the good place and bad people to the bad place. Luther helped people rediscover what the Bible really says about this, that there's nothing we can do to get forgiveness from God, because everything we need has already been done by Jesus when he died on the cross. God's forgiveness is offered to everyone as a free gift. All we need to do is accept it. For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. Amidst corruption, persecution, and death threats, Luther got his peace in life from putting his faith in God's kindness through Jesus, rather than trusting in himself and what he could do. He said, "Faith is a living, daring confidence in God's grace, so sure and certain that a man could stake his life on it 1,000 times. Luther wasn't perfect. Like any Christian, he knew he made mistakes and needed forgiveness from God. In fact, this was a central part of what he stood for. But we remember and celebrate him today as an example of courage to challenge religious leaders when they're wrong, to protest against corruption, and to work tirelessly to help people discover and rediscover Jesus in the pages of the Bible. Martin Luther was a Christian whose actions have made the world a better place, and he shows us what can happen when followers of Jesus read and trust what the Bible says about God's love and grace offered to everyone.